Welcome everybody, Chef Katie May here for another episode of Delicious Living. And today we have our guest, Cathy Fisher from StraightUpFood.com and the author of Straight Up Food, the cookbook. Cathy and I met years ago, maybe 10 years ago. We met at True North Health Center where she was teaching classes and I was a new nutritionist just out of grad school, and I came down to work at True North and be a part of the community. And after seeing Cathy's class, I decided I just had to, kind of follow in her footsteps. And so I asked if I could shadow you, Cathy, and you let me be an assistant to a couple of your classes before I got started on my journey. And she also was teaching at Dr. McDougall's program before I got started there as well. So you've been my little mentor, guiding me along. And I'm so excited to have you on because you make dishes taste so amazing and so simple, so easy to do. And I know everyone's going to love these dishes: stuffed portobello mushrooms and a raw apple crumble. Perfect for the season too. So I'm going to hand it over to you. Definitely mention your cookbook. Everyone, this is like one of the best cookbooks out there. There are not many that are whole food, plant-based, and SOS free. So yes, take it over, Cathy.
All right. Thank you so much, Katie. And we were also roommates. Don't forget about that.
Oh, yes. That was fun too.
A year and a half, Katie lived here. It was fun. If she wasn't making food, I was making food. We always had good food.
It was surprising how we were like in and out of the kitchen. We just missed each other.
Yeah, those were the days. Gosh, that was so long ago. Anyway, yes, we're a tight-knit group, tight-knit community here in Sonoma County. And thank you so much for having me on your show. This is so exciting. And this is my cookbook, Straight Up Food. I know a lot of you probably already have this book. Thank you so much for picking it up. But if you don't have it, you can pick it up on Amazon or on my website, which is the same name, Straight Up Food. And it's fabulous because it lays flat and it's got lots of pictures. And it's SOS free, as Katie said, salt, oil, sugar free, and also gluten free, and 100% plant foods. And I have been teaching at True North for about 10 years and the McDougall program for almost that long as a chef. And I learned that if people are interested in changing the way they eat and get healthier, if you give them food that doesn't taste good, they're not gonna eat it, and they're not gonna get healthier. So I really try my best to make food without salt, oil, sugar taste wonderful and 100% plants. So I will put this aside for the moment. And if you guys have any questions about the book or my journey or anything you want, feel free to ask Katie and she will relay the question to me.
Yes.
All right, so let's get started here. So the first recipe I'm going to make is the stuffed portobello mushrooms. Now they have to cook, so I thought I'd get that going first. We're going to do a little sauteing here, and then I'm going to throw it in the oven just for like 15 minutes, and then that will be done. It's really a pretty easy recipe. This is a newer recipe, so it's not in my cookbook, but it is on my website at StraightUpFood.com. It's one of the newer ones, so it'll be kind of near the top there. And it's really beautiful looking. I don't know if you saw the picture that Katie posted of it, but it's really kind of a nice presentation, but it's really quite easy to make. So let's go ahead and get started. You can use a frying pan for the saute part. I like using this La Creuset heavy duty pan, so either one will work. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is get our portobello mushrooms ready, and when I have something to show you up close, I will walk around and show you. So the recipe makes 2 portobello mushrooms. I got 3 because they weren't really that big. I mean, I'm sure you've seen portobello mushrooms that are just really, they're like deep and big, and they just have a really big bowl to them. And these were kind of on the smaller side, but they're nice mushrooms. They're just kind of smaller. So I got 3. So we'll see how we do on the filling. If we can fill 2, we won't use the other one. But I have a feeling we're going to be able to fill all 3. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is take off stems. Now, I usually throw these away, and I get grief from people. They're like, how can you throw those away? If you don't want to throw them away, don't throw them away. Keep them, use them in your vegetable stock. They're totally edible, they're totally good and nutritious. So yeah, save them if you want. It's just one of those, I don't know, they just look funny. But I would definitely save these to make vegetable stock. So I'm just gonna set that aside. And they just snap off really easily. So the next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna take out these, the brown stuff in the middle, which is called the gills. And we're just gonna scrape it out with a soup spoon here. And come off pretty easily. You want to be careful when you're going over near the edges there that you don't break the edges. But the more of the gills that you can get out, the more space you will have in the mushroom cap. And then just pour them into a bowl.
Now, what if people don't like mushrooms? Because they've got like a unique taste and the texture and everything. Have you done this mixture in any other vegetables, stuffing like peppers or anything like that?
Yeah, totally. You can do stuffed peppers, stuffed tomatoes if you don't like mushrooms. Yeah. I do have a stuffed pepper recipe on my website. It's more like a holiday stuffed pepper recipe. So yeah, you could totally do stuffed peppers or stuffed tomatoes.
I know I love stuffed peppers, but stuffed mushrooms, I've not had yet. I'm someone that didn't like mushrooms and had to train myself to like them. So I'm excited to try this recipe. Hopefully I've made made some progress and will enjoy this.
Yeah, I wish you were here. We'd have dinner together like we used to. And I only made this recipe serve two because, you know, it's always tricky when you're a chef creating recipes because every once in a while I'll get comments like, well, I'm just one person, so I really don't need that much. Mm-hmm. So I thought I would just make it for two people. I get that comment more than we're too many people. You know, the recipe's too big or whatever. I mean, too small. So if you are 4 people, just double it. If you're 6 people, triple it. It's pretty easy to do, but these are pretty filling. So I just thought I would.
Someone commented, Fabian says, how wonderful your skin looks. And they can see a difference from when you were a lot younger compared to an old picture.
Oh, does my skin look better than it did when I was younger?
Well, he's saying to a picture of you in your 20s. I don't know that I've ever seen you in your 20s, so I'm not sure where that picture is. But
I don't know.
Have you noticed, what benefits have you noticed when you went plant-based?
Well, I've been plant-based for over 20 years now. So I think 20 years ago, when I started, I was 32, and I probably had pretty decent skin back then. I've always had kind of good skin, but now that I'm 53, yeah, I think I have pretty good skin for that age, and it's the diet. I firmly believe it's also what I drink and what I don't drink, and I get good sleep, and I try to kind of hit all the boxes, you know, and it, you know, I'm not trying to be perfect, but you know, I try to watch not baking my skin in the sun and all that kind of stuff. I don't drink coffee or water or anything like that, or alcohol.
Yeah, water. What you're consuming just has such a powerful impact on every part of your body, but your skin is what we notice most, right? That's what we see most.
Yes. Yeah. I've seen plenty of elderly women with the most beautiful skin. So, I mean, maybe part of it's genetics, but yeah, it really does work if you watch what you put in the mouth there.
So everyone's saying how much they love your cookbook.
Oh, thank you.
And I'm wondering, you mentioned you're working on a second one. Any timeline on that?
No.
Is it going to be a while?
Not yet. I think if I keep talking about it and saying it, it'll get done. But I have to actually sit down and continue working on it. So no, I don't really have a date or anything yet, but people definitely want a second book, and I want to do it. I loved writing the book so much and learned a lot because I self-published my cookbook, and so I kind of gotta do another one because it'll be so much easier the second time around. I'm thinking and I'm hoping. All right. So that was step one, preparing the mushrooms. We scraped out all the gills, and I am checking my recipe just to make sure that I give you the correct information, because I do like to just do my own thing and jump around even in my own recipes. All right.
I do the same thing.
I know, it's just a chefy thing. It's like, I don't want to do the same thing twice. All right. So the next step is, it's kind of, where's my knife? Is kind of optional. Because these, sometimes you get portobello mushrooms and they don't sit flat. So what I do is just cut a little bit off the bottom so they will sit nice and flat when you serve them. I think that's kind of a nice touch so they're not wobbling around. If your mushroom's already pretty flat, you can skip that part, but and then what I do, I'm going to put these on a baking sheet, and we will come back to them a little bit later. I'm just using a regular size baking sheet with a silicone mat on the bottom. You can also use parchment paper if you want. All right, so we will come back to that. And I'm already making a mess. Let me try to be clean here. All right.
No. You should see my kitchen. I'm definitely a mess maker.
It's, yes, clean as we go. I'm just preheating my pot here, and I'm keeping a little water in it so it's not just sitting there dry. And I'm using my portable stove today, so I don't have my back to you because my other stove's back there. So people always seem to want to know what kind of portable stove I use. It's a Winco, W-I-N-C-O. And I didn't do a lot of research about portable stoves. It's just one that uses a butane canister. All right, so chop up your little pieces that you that you cut from the underside. And just make little squares, little chops. All right. I'm remembering all the stuff that I didn't set out. I usually try to have everything thought of and set out ahead of time, but that is fine. All right. So that was step two. We cut off the bottom of the mushrooms. I preheated my oven to 375. I'm heating a little bit of water in my pot here. And now we are going to put in the onion, the bell pepper, zucchini, and the mushrooms. All right. So this is about half of an onion, just a yellow or white onion, about 1 cup. I'm going to put that in.
How are you doing with the fires there? People are wondering.
How are the fires doing?
Yeah, how's the air quality? And
it changes every day. Yesterday the air quality was fine, like I didn't smell any smoke here in Sonoma County, but the smoke was above the clouds, so it was like I was in a sci-fi movie. It was very bizarre, and I know it's still like that for a lot of people. But apparently the fires are pretty far away, but it's just that smoke. It's just hanging out up there. And I do have an air purifier in my house. I bought a generator.
Makes all the difference.
Whoops. So I'm doing fine. But when the fires came in 2017, that's the year that they came big and strong, the fires came to my street, which was pretty scary. And there were cops driving around telling people to evacuate. So I ended up evacuating for 9 days. It was bad.
Yeah, I evacuated as well. And I actually even got the shingles from the stress of I actually had to run from the fire at one point, but it's crazy how the fires can impact us. Okay, so you have in the pot, you have your mushrooms, onion, What
Katie and I
else?
just want to catch up because we don't talk very often.
Yeah.
Onions, the bottoms of the mushrooms, and a half cup of bell pepper.
Mm-hmm.
I like to use orange because I'm going to be using tomatoes later, so I already have a red thing. So a yellow or an orange bell pepper just cut into little pieces. And the theme is little pieces, just little pieces, because we don't want big chunks because we have to stuff those mushroom caps. So just the little tiny pieces. And I don't know if you do this, Katie, but whenever I'm setting up for a class, most of the time I will forget something, one thing. And
Yes.
today it was the zucchini. So I kind of remembered at the last minute. So we want about a half cup of zucchini. That's why I'm cutting it in front of you. So I'm just kind of eyeballing about a half cup. I could get the measuring cup, but I don't want to.
No,
I'm
that's
pretty
the
good.
beauty of learning how to cook is you don't need the measuring cups and spoons once you really know what you're doing.
Yeah, and I've got pretty good at estimating. Like that to me looks like about a half cup.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So we've got those 4 veggies in there. Put a little bit more water in. Now you can do a dry saute where you're just stirring it without any water in the bottom, and that's fine too. That'll bring out more flavor. You just have to be careful that you don't burn anything. So you just got to keep stirring it. And sauteing just means cooking while stirring on high heat. So, but if you get nervous like I do, you can put a little water in there. But as the vegetables cook, that water from them is released. And normally, sometimes when I do videos, you can see right into the pan, but today you can't see that. But Katie, if you want me to tilt anything or walk forward, just let me know because you're seeing it and I'm not seeing it. All right.
Let's tilt it forward. Let's see what that looks like.
See if that works.
Yeah.
And this gets hot after a while.
Much. Oh,
you know what? I got these new mitts, these new oven mitts, which are kind of cool and modern looking. All right. So, should I walk in front or can you see that?
No, that works great. Yeah, we can see.
So there it is, looking great. Now we're going to go on to that was step 3. See how easy this is? We're moving right along. Number 4, we're going to stir in some Italian seasoning. Just 1 teaspoon. This is dried Italian seasoning. This is what I buy this in bulk because I use so much of it. It's just dried oregano and thyme and rosemary. You can find Italian seasoning pretty much anywhere you buy dried herbs and spices. And generally when I add the dried stuff, I do add a little bit of water just so it helps it get incorporated. And the heat is on kind of a medium-high heat. We're going to add some garlic, and then we're going to add the other stuff. Okay. So I am only going to add 1 clove of chopped garlic, but I did want to show you one of my favorite kitchen tools, which is a garlic chopper, which actually works better with more than 1 clove inside. So it's just a little container with a blade, and I have some more garlic in there because I'll use that later. So we're going to chop our garlic in there, but I also wanted to just real quick, in case someone didn't know about this fabulous little garlic sleeve, and you want to remove the paper off of your garlic, you can just put the garlic clove with that paper on the outside inside the garlic sleeve and then roll it and then shake it out and it just comes off. It usually will come off completely, or if there's a little tiny piece there, you can just take that off yourself. But it works pretty well. It's pretty inexpensive. You can get that anywhere you buy kitchen stuff. I do have a store on my website at Straight Up Food too, if you want to go check out all my favorite kitchen tools. Okay.
Someone's wondering about your preference and feelings, thoughts on the Instant Pot. Do you like using it? Would it be something you could use in this case? Like, how often do you use the stovetop versus the Instant Pot?
You could, because I know the Instant Pot has a saute feature. I have an Instant Pot, and I've never used the saute feature. I use it mostly to cook beans and stews and stuff, but yeah, we're just sauteing. That's what we're doing, and then we're going to add the beans and the tomatoes and the basil at the end, and they just, and it's all going in the oven too. So yeah, you can use any method of sauteing that you want. If we were to just put all these vegetables, like mix them together and put them in our mushrooms into the oven, they wouldn't be soft enough, and they wouldn't have as great a flavor either. So this is an important step. And then the garlic. So once you get everything in here, this is a Tupperware product. They do make other brands that have similar little garlic toppers like this. So just pull the string, and the more you pull, the finer it gets. It's fun. It's like a toy. All right, then the little blade comes out.
I've never seen a chopper like that. I've never used a chopper like that, but Elise Jones, she just used one just like that, a little bit bigger, to cut her zucchini. So, I know that's a popular appliance or a little gadget. It's nice.
Yeah, anything that makes chopping easier,
Yeah.
I like. And this was a gift to me by Chef AJ, and so that she must love it as well. But I just love things that make my life easier. All right, so we're going to do about 1 clove of garlic. 1 medium clove is about 1 teaspoon. So there's about 1 teaspoon, and then I will save this and use it another time for something else. All right. And these are my beloved magnetic measuring spoons that I never lose because they all stick together with a magnet, and they have 2 ends, which is nice. If you cook a lot, you always have that clean end if you've already used one end. Okay. And you always want to add garlic more later in the sauteing because it can burn a little easier than the onions and stuff. Okay. All righty. So we are on step 4. We're doing good. Now we're going to add the beans, tomatoes, vinegar, spinach, and basil. 1/2 cup of cherry tomatoes cut in half. If you didn't have cherry tomatoes, you could use regular tomatoes. This is a 1/2 cup of drained and rinsed. The recipe calls for cannellini beans. These are Great Northern beans, which are kind of similar to cannellini. So any white bean, I think a white bean looks nice because this is kind of an Italian-ish dish. And then I'm going to add about 1 cup of chopped spinach, or any other kind of green that you want would work. And then just a little bit of basil. Look at these little tiny leaves. I just picked these out of my little herb garden. So they're not the big leaves like I get at the store. So we just want to give these a little bit of a chop. Not much, just a little rough chop there.
What greens would you recommend instead of spinach?
What greens?
I
you could use kale, beet greens, collard greens, chard.
Pretty much anything.
A mix of those. Oh, this smells so good. All right.
I know people are wondering about, I don't know if you have any answers, but one topic that people were discussing is burners, portable burners, specifically ones that are electric, non-electric, in case the electricity goes out. And
yes.
I don't actually, aside from the butane ones, I don't know of any.
Portable ones?
Portable. I mean, I have a little camping stoves that you light, but those are, all of the ones I've seen are butane. So I'm curious if anyone is, maybe you weren't following in the comments, but if anyone knows of anything, definitely share with us in the comments.
Yes, I like having this around. The electricity was just off like a week ago, so I made my breakfast using this. It was really nice to have. Okay. Now we've got the beans in there, the tomatoes, the spinach, the basil, and then the last thing is just a little bit of vinegar a little balsamic vinegar. If you don't like vinegar, you can leave it out, but it just adds, you know, tomatoes and balsamic. It's just so good. So we're going to do 2 teaspoons of this. And I'm just about at the end of my balsamic vinegar. And I'm actually using a fig balsamic today. You can use any flavor you want or just regular. I don't even know if I have 2 teaspoons. Let's see. There's 1. Yes, we're going to make it. We're just going to make it. And there's 2. Okay, I think that's everything. And I will show this to you in one quick sec. All right, let me just double check. We got everything in there. The tomatoes, the beans, the garlic, yes, yes, yes. All right, so let's get our mushrooms over here. I'm gonna wipe off my cutting board.
You are doing Facebook Lives now on your own Facebook channel, aren't you?
Yeah, I do a Facebook Live every Tuesday at 10 Pacific time. If you want to get more cooking videos.
Yes, people like seeing you.
Yeah, I like seeing them too. I mean, it's getting lonely here going into September. I mean, it's been so long. And it's nice to connect with people online, even though it's online, you know.
Yeah,
I have 3
connection
cats.
Is connection.
They're pretty fun, but you know, that has its limits. All right, let me turn this off. Okay, so now we're just going to, oh, let me show this to you. Let me. Yeah, when I do my own videos, I'm always popping over here to moderate the comments, so it's very nice to have a helper. All right. So can you guys see this?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's delicious.
Yum.
Yeah. What there's your portobello mushrooms all ready to go in the oven. Is that filling? You're going to be able to fit all of that filling in those 4 little guys?
3 mushrooms, I think so. Usually they're a little, well, you know, portobellos come in all kind of
shapes
different
and sizes.
Yeah, so these are a little bit shallow, but we'll see. And I usually do go for a little bit of a mound at the top. Okay. So that I think we're going to fit them all in here. So often plant-based eaters will ask me, well, what are your centerpiece dishes? Because in the standard American diet, we always seem to have these centerpiece dishes, the ham, the turkey, the chicken, and we don't eat any of that. So this makes a really nice, pretty centerpiece dish.
Yeah.
This would be great at any kind of holiday, or if you want to make a special dinner for someone for their birthday or something. This is a really good one, and especially if you love mushrooms, because you're getting the mushrooms inside and on the outside. Okay. And I like to use this heavy pot too, because it's really heavy on the bottom. It's heavy everywhere, and you have less chance of burning things than you do with a thin bottomed pan or pot. Okay. Yeah, look at that. See, I was right. I'm glad I got 3 portobello mushrooms.
Perfect.
Yay.
So how are these going to do as leftovers?
I think they'd be great.
Just fine, huh?
Yeah, you could probably even eat them cold, or you could just give them a little warm up. So let me move this out of the way. I'm going to move my stove out of the way. I don't know if I want to get everything cluttered up back here, but that's all right.
You guys, if you are liking this video, definitely give us a like. Give the video a like. It lets other people know whether it's worth watching. We love Cathy. and these amazing recipes. So this was just one of so many. How many do you think you have on your site, Cathy? Probably a couple hundred recipes
Probably.
at straightupfood.com. So many delicious ones. I know a lot of just ones we go to all the time, my family and I. Veggie loaf, potato salad. So definitely check out the website.
Yeah, thank you. So here these are. They're all done. I'm going to, can you see those, Katie, all right?
They look fantastic.
All right, I'm going to put these in the oven, and let me just double check. You guys are probably way ahead of me. So we're just going to bake these for 22 to 24 minutes.
Okay. Thank you, Jim. Jim saying how he fell in love with us, all the chefs at True North, and how pretty we are. So sweet.
Thank you. We met a lot of great people at True North.
The pan you were using, was that a Le Creuset or was it a different brand?
It's a La Creuset, and it's a 5.5 quart.
5.5 quarts.
Yeah.
So Linda.
Okay.
Yes.
So that is it for that one. We will
That's
check
dinner.
it.
Now on to dessert.
Yes, let me put my timer on
Yeah.
so I don't forget.
Yeah, let us know in the comments, you guys, what your favorite recipes are from Cathy's website or her cookbook, what you've tried out there. Inspire other people to try some they haven't tried yet.
Yeah. One of my favorite recipes of mine is the curried sweet potato salad.
Oh, I love that one too.
It's just so unique.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm getting the ingredients out for the raw apple crumble. And maybe I should put them down here so I have room. Okay. I've lived in this house for so long, and I'm finally appreciating
The wider counter. Oh, you froze up just a bit. There we go. The tuna salad is amazing, so good.
Which one?
Your tuna salad.
Oh, tuna salad, yeah. That's a winner. Okay. I'm going to ask the audience, I'm going to quiz them, because this is something I learned not too long ago that I thought was interesting. Do you guys know what the difference between baking and roasting is? See if anyone knows, Katie.
Yes, I love telling the difference. But I mean, I'll leave that to you.
Does anybody know, though? Do we have a winner?
There's a little bit of a delay, so give them a minute.
Okay, give them a minute to think about that. All right, so, and remind me to come back to that if you want, Katie. Yep. So the raw apple crumble, it's kind of like a raw apple pie. It's very easy, and you can bake it if you want. There's instructions there, but I usually just make this raw. And it's got kind of 3 components. It's got the apples, it's got the sauce that goes around the apples, just like in a regular apple pie, and then we've got the crust. But the crust is only going to go on top, because making pies takes so long and complicated. This is much easier. So we are going to start with the crust, and I'm going to use the food processor here to do that. And we're going to use this a couple times. So we're going to do the dry topping first, and then we'll do the sauce after that. So the topping is just super easy. It's just a 1/2 cup of pecans, unroasted, unsalted pecans. And then make crumble topping. And then this is just one way that I buy dates, fresh medjool dates. Sometimes in the past I've bought them in bulk. Sometimes I'll buy them in a little can. They taste kind of like brown sugar or maple syrup. And they do have this really hard little pit, so you want to make sure you always remove the pits. If I'm going to be using, for example, 5 dates, I will make sure that I count 5 pits at the end before I throw them all away, just to make sure the pit didn't end up, because all these years later, I still sometimes miss a pit, and then it's like really hard. So it's like glass going around in your blender or your food processor. You just don't want the pits in there. But these aren't a dried fruit. They come off the tree like that. They're really nice and soft. Sometimes when I just want a little bit of sugar, something sweet, I'll just have a date with a pecan in the middle of it, and that'll take care of it.
Is this recipe in your cookbook as well?
Yes.
Okay.
The mushroom one is too new, so it is not in the cookbook.
Oh, I just said the opposite.
Oh, but the raw apple crumble is in the cookbook. And I usually pulse this instead of just keeping it continually on, just to kind of, when you pulse it, it kind of throws everything up and it has a better chance of getting evenly processed. What you don't want is it to start to stick together like a big ball of delicious clay. We don't want that. All right, this looks perfect. And then let me get a bowl to put it in.
So we had a couple responses regarding the baking versus roasting.
Okay.
All were great. So someone says moist versus the moist versus dry, dry baking, moist roasting, and I'm going to let you talk to all of this. Someone says temperature, and another says the container, whether it's in a container or not.
Very interesting answers. Wow. Well, what I read was that if you are roasting something, it is whole. If you're baking something, you've taken bits and pieces from different things, combined them, and then you're baking that. But roasting is just the whole bell pepper, the whole mushroom. So that's what I read.
Yeah, let me, I'm gonna add on to that.
Yeah.
So the moisture piece, when you're roasting, it's like the rotisserie, where you go around like over a fire if you're roasting a pig or something in the olden days, and they would usually have a fat of some sort around it. So like that's where we roast vegetables with the oil, but we do it without too. The container, baked goods are usually in a container where the roasting, it's more, the surface area is more available, accessible to the heat. So roasting rotisserie versus baked goods, which is usually covered and in a pan.
Okay.
And then the temperature varies too, like temperature baking, you think of like if you're on the coals, the stones, where it's a lower temperature, cooks for longer, where roasting, you're right over the fire, if not in the fire. So it's a much higher temperature too.
Okay.
So I didn't realize that piece that you mentioned too about it being whole versus not whole. That makes a lot of sense.
And you know, I read it on the internet, so it could be wrong, but
No,
kitty cat's down here. All right. So I don't know if you guys can see that, but it's kind of loose. It's kind of like coarse sand. It's not sticking together. As it kind of sits here for a few minutes and gets warmer, it might get a little more stick together-ish, but it will be fine. All right, so that is step 1. Step 2 is the filling. And this is about 3 medium-large apples that I've already started. I do peel mine. If you don't want to peel your apples, you don't have to. But for this dessert, I like it a little bit more refined, so I do peel it. This is the apple that I'm using today for all the apple stuff. Gravenstein apple. It's kind of green and red. And I'm just gonna peel it with my Y peeler. I prefer a Y peeler. What about you, Katie? Do you use a Y peeler or a straight peeler?
Wide peeler, definitely. Yeah, always. Do you
Yeah,
have
it just
do you have a
feels
brand you like?
No. These are pretty easy to find, these metal ones.
Yeah.
But it just feels like I have more control.
Mm-hmm. Kuhn makes a good, really lightweight one that I like.
Yeah, the right tools make all the diff.
So this is to off topic, not really related to desserts. And I guess you could use it in desserts, but someone's wondering about what you would do with turnips from the garden.
Oh, you know, I've never cooked with turnips. I've had turnips now and again, but I just don't have experience with turnips. And that might be because I don't like turnips. I get turnips mixed up with parsnips. And maybe it's the parsnips that are more of a turnoff. I don't remember. I do have a recipe on my website that's pretty old, and it's like a roasted root vegetables. So maybe check that out. And I think I give an option in there, or even it's one of the ingredients, turnips. I forget.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they can be confusing. There's so many different starchy vegetables.
I know they're really healthy for you, though. Okay, so I just peeled my apple, I cut it in half, and I just wanted to show you how I cut my pieces for the main middle section. And by the way, I'm going to be putting that in this pie dish. And even though in the end we won't be cutting it like a pie, it'll be more just scooped out. I like to use a pretty dish like this. So what was my point about that? You can cut your pieces any way you like. I like mine a little on the kind of more refined, smaller bite size side, kind of like that. Yeah, I have one Gravenstein apple tree in my backyard that I never water. I do prune it, and it just puts out the most delicious apples. Even my neighbor who has an apple tree, she loves my apples. I also have a grape arbor that makes grapes that I don't do anything to. It just makes these most delicious red grapes. They have seeds in them, but they're really good. I wonder if the more delicious grapes generally have seeds in them. Is that something? I don't know.
I don't know.
More flavorful.
I love Fuji apples, and I just feel guilty for that. They're so sweet.
Oh, and also you could do like 3 apples and 1 Bosc pear, or you could put in some blueberries instead of one of the apples, or some raspberries, or some pineapple. So it's, again, a very versatile dish. All right. So there's all of our apples. I do like to put a little bit of lemon juice over the top just so they don't get brown, and the lemon juice adds to the flavor. So, and again, I'm not measuring, just put a little lemon juice in, but the recipe does say about 1 tablespoon of lemon juice here. All right, and let me get a spoon to stir. And then I'm just going to toss these so the lemon juice gets over everything here. Okay, so that is step number 2, and that's ready. Now we're going to do the, why did I take this off? We're going to do the applesauce that's going to go around the fruit here that I just did. So we're going to use the same food processing jar. You don't have to wash it in between. Put the S blade in here. And now we're going to put in, this is 2 apples, and you'll notice I didn't cut these really small because they're going to get blended up anyway. So big chunks are fine. So this is 2 medium large apples. And then we're going to put in, there they are, We're going to put in some more dates. And if you make this once at home and you think, oh, that's too sweet or it's not sweet enough, feel free to adjust the number of dates by 1 or 2. All right, so that's the dates we're going to put in. And how many dates did I put in? About 4 or 5 dates. And then a 1/4 cup of brown raisins, just for a slightly different kind of sweet. And then some more with the lemon juice. I probably used too much lemon juice in that bowl. I should have saved it for this, but that's all right. And then a little bit of cinnamon. This is just a 1/4 teaspoon. And then I'm going to do a 1/4 teaspoon of nutmeg. Now I like to use the whole nutmeg. If you want to buy your nutmeg pre-ground, that is fine too. But if you are grinding it yourself, you want to use a microplane, which is just a very fine-toothed, small-toothed grater. And just these are whole nutmegs. They're very hard. So we're just going to grind it right onto the cutting board there. I'm going to estimate about a 1/4 teaspoon. We're going to add that to the food processing bowl. Okay. So now I'm just going to blend this up until it resembles applesauce. If it's too thick, because I probably didn't put in enough lemon juice, I'll just add a little bit of water. And then at some point, you're going to want to scrape down the sides with your spoon. Sometimes you get a drier apple, and other times you get a juicier apple. We'll just put in a little water, because we do want it a little liquid, so it will check it again. And I'll add a little bit more of that water. Or you could add lemon juice or apple juice, just something to help it break down. All right, that looks good. So back to the bowl of apples. We're going to take out that S-blade. And then just put this right into the bowl of apples. All right. And then we're just going to stir it up. So this is kind of what it's looking like at the moment.
Yum.
And this is a very versatile dish. You could even have this for a little breakfast, or you could put some of this on top of your oatmeal in the morning. Sometimes I want a dessert, but I don't want like a muffin or a cake or something that's baked. I just want something kind of fruity and fresh and simple. Whenever I've taken this to potlucks, people just love it. Okay.
Yeah,
Just make
I've
sure.
had it so many times. I just absolutely love it.
Yeah, it's just so good. And just remember, you can adjust the sweetness to your liking. All right, so once that's all stirred in, we're going to get our pie plate. Now, if you want to serve this on little individual serving plates or little dessert bowls or something, you could do that too. But when I bring this to an event, I just bring this green plate. And, you know, it matters. How you plate something, how you present something, it matters, I think. It just makes eating more fun and interesting. And if I had some blueberries, I'd probably throw them in here, some raspberries, just to add a little pop of color. All right, and then just kind of even it out. This would be a great dessert for kids if you don't want to give your kids, junk food. They would love this because it is plenty sweet. Okay. And then when you're done with that, we'll go back to our crust. You can put this on the side if you want. If people want to add their own, you can do that, especially if you know someone isn't into eating nuts. Or you can just put it on the top like I'm going to do. And also the nuts for this, these were pecans. You could use another kind of nut or seed if you want, if you didn't want to use pecans. Okay.
What kind of food processor are you using?
I'm using a Cuisinart 14 cup, but I've also heard that Hamilton Beach and KitchenAid are very good as well. But I like the Cuisinart. It's fine. Sometimes it's hard to get the bowl off, though. It's like sticky. So that's kind of the one thing I don't like about it.
I have a Cuisinart too, and I like it. Yeah, there's just a lot of great. Those brands you mentioned are all great. The only thing is getting a kind of a more expensive one. I tell people don't go for a cheap food processor. It's not worth it.
Yeah, get a good quality one, and also I would say get a big one. Don't get like a 5-cupper. Get an 11-cupper or a 14-cupper, because it just. I've never regretted it because again, sometimes you're bringing food places and you want to make enough salsa or hummus or whatever it is for everybody.
Yeah.
All right. So I have a little bit left here, but I'm going to just stop right there. I like to have a little bit of the fruit peeking out from under. And again, if you had some raspberries or blueberries or strawberries or something with a different color, you could just kind of toss them on top too, and that would look really pretty. So then when you serve this, you just have like a potato salad spoon, like a bigger than a soup spoon, so people can serve themselves. And yeah, so that is it. And on Tuesday, this last Tuesday on my cooking show, I did little apple pies, little mini apple pies that were baked. So if you're looking for a baked apple pie, I made these in a muffin pan, and they were just pretty much as easy as this. So, all right. So let me see how much time. Oh, I only have 22 seconds left on my mushrooms.
Perfect timing.
That worked out well.
So if someone was going to bake that dish, what would you recommend for temperature and timing?
I would bake it at 350 for about, I have it at the bottom here, for 35 to 45 minutes. You just want to make sure you're not overcooking the topping. And if you are going to bake it, make the sauce a little wetter, a little more liquidier, because I think that'll help cook the apples in there.
Yeah.
But that is in the notes section of the recipes, how to bake it.
Oh, good. Okay.
Okay. Let me just rinse my hands. And then we'll take these mushrooms out.
Yes. In case anyone didn't hear, a larger food processor is definitely the way to go for those who are looking to buy one soon.
Yeah. Okay. Let me get my trivet. Actually, let me get a serving plate.
If you guys are interested in Cathy's apple pielets, her Facebook link is in the description, so make sure to get that. And if anyone is joining us from Cathy's email list or just hopping on YouTube, you just happen to come across us, you can join my email list if you're interested in getting notifications of all of these live shows I do every week. Every Wednesday and Thursday we go live. The description to that, the description in the description of this video, there's a link to opt into my email list, and you'll get the recipe for today, a printable version, but also all of the notifications of our upcoming shows. So definitely tune in there if you'd like to. And yeah, my stomach is growling. I'm gonna have some greens and beans I have ready for me, but I'd love to be enjoying this dessert tonight. And I also, Peggy mentions how grateful she is that it's a raw recipe. And I know that roasting this would just make it like even more decadent, just a little bit sweeter. But it's so great to have raw dishes to balance out all the cooked food we have in our diet too. So thank you for doing this.
And as you'll notice, I just plated these both on like bowls, and this is a pasta dish. Mm-hmm. Don't do that. Don't do that. Just put them on a plate because the stuff falls out because I had to tilt it to get it into the bowl. So just put it on the bowl.
Pretty,
don't put it in the bowl. If you want to garnish with a little chopped basil on top, you could do that as well.
You know what I think I might do is add some greens underneath it. Like if you did some steamed kale.
Underneath, yeah, that would be great.
Yeah.
But
maybe
just do
a squeeze of lemon juice or vinegar or something to go over the greens.
Mm-hmm.
A little extra moisture.
Yeah, so I kind of blew my nice ending presentation there, but if it falls off, you can kind of put it back on.
The other one looks great.
What?
The other one is all put together. It's okay.
I know. It just bothers me. Okay. So anyway, that's it. Pretty easy. I mean, I had a lot of stuff prepped, so that helped. But these are not difficult recipes. None of my recipes are. No one accuses me of making difficult recipes because I love to eat slightly more than I like to cook. So I just want to make it as easy for myself, easy for you guys as I can.
Thank you for joining us, Cathy. We have people in the comments saying they're. Oh, I'm starting to hear an echo myself.
Oh.
There was a little bit of an issue with the echo, but I don't know if it's happening or not. So
Sounds
people
good.
are saying you are their favorite guest chef I've had on the show.
Oh,
so
wow.
We'll have
Even
to have
with
you back.
falling portobello mushrooms. Okay. Thank you.
It's your whole energy, your demeanor, competence. So I love watching Cathy's demos too. So catch more of Cathy on her Facebook channel, and we'll have her back here.
Yeah.
And definitely check out the cookbook and the website for just so many amazing recipes.
Yeah, thank you so much, Kate, for having me.
Yeah, we've got, let me just see if there's any big questions coming in, because people were typing faster than I could read.
My neighbor's across the street watching me watering her lawn, like, what is she doing over there? With all the bright UFO lights on her.
Yeah, so Carolina, if you want to follow along, join me in the via the link in the description. Everyone's good. Next week we're going to have another guest chef on. Now teaching twice a week, it's a joy to bring other people on the kitchen. And next week we're going to have someone from the fitness world showing us how to just stay healthy and strong and think about our performance, not necessarily being active, like athletic, competing and things like that, but just day-to-day performance, from brain health to your physical activity throughout the day and having good energy all day long. So I'm looking forward to that, but we will definitely have Cathy on. And Cathy, just mark your calendars now, everyone. Chef AJ is going to do a big Thanksgiving event with Cathy and myself and several other plant-based SOS-free chefs. So I think that's right in the middle of the day, like 12 to 2, maybe 11 to 2 on Thanksgiving Day, which is months away, but that'll be fun. So All right, thank you so much, everyone. Have a delicious weekend.
Thank
Enjoy
you.
the recipes. We'll see you next week.
See you later.